You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm going to start in and jump in with Casein, because we talked a little bit about it last week, and I wasn't there to stick my 2 cents in. So I'm going to stick my 2 cents in tonight. So Casein
That's
is
what the
in...
Starch Queen of Diamond does.
This is true. This is true. So I want to talk a little bit about casein and dairy products, because in dairy products you're going to get casein. Casein is the protein that's in it, and if you look at, like, for example, the solid matter that's in milk, about 38% of that is the protein that's in there. That's the casein. 80% of that casein is the protein that is found in mammals' milk. 20% of that is whey protein. And you've heard, I don't know if you remember that the nursery rhyme, Little Miss Muffet sat in her tuffet eating her curds
in the whey.
And that's what it was, the milk was allowed to curdle and it got chunky. That just sounds gross. And then the liquid part was the whey. And so what they did is
cottage cheese.
Yeah, well, they threw that stuff out. And now they've found a way that they take the whey protein, and they've dehydrated it, and they make it into this protein that you can use. And oh my gosh, it's really bad. And I see a lot of my students using the whey protein. So
isolate.
Yeah, and it's not good. So you want to be careful about that, because it's not good. And if you read T. Colin Campbell's his information about that, they've shown that this is a direct relationship. It turns cancer on and off. And if you look at cheese, and I did the series with Dr. Neil Barnard on his book, The Cheese Trap. That was a phenomenal book for me. I mean, it was just, oh my God. I mean, that really, literally, after doing the series with him, I'm good. I'm done with cheese. Seriously. Not that I wasn't before, but this really sealed the deal after this. But the problem
great book.
It is. And on my website, or on the Starch Queen's website, is the series. There's 5 parts to that series. But he talked a lot about how what they do in cheese is they concentrate the dairy products to make that. And you're getting a high amount of the casein and the casomorphines. And this is going to stimulate the IGF. This is the insulin growth factor. And then this is found to create new cancer cells. And if you do have cancer, it's going to promote the cancer growth. So you definitely, especially if you have cancer, we've been talking about that this week in the Starch Queens, the program. We've been talking about cancer. And you definitely want to make sure that if anything that you change in your diet, you've got to get the dairy products out, especially the cheese. Because the casein does break down really, really slowly. These casomorphines act like little opiates in the body. They trigger an addictive response, and it just makes your brain just go ding, 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 and lights right up.
Very addictive.
And it puts a huge strain on the digestive system, from constipation to bloating to gas, diarrhea, and respiratory problems. A lot of people who have, like asthma, it's triggered. Cheese will trigger an asthma, it'll exacerbate it.
Right. My allergies didn't clear up until I gave up dairy.
Yeah, well, it's a big one, though. It's a big one. Yeah. But I also wanted to just touch one more thing about, you have to be careful about casein on the label, because they try and hide it. So you might see it as caseinates, or there's calcium caseinates, potassium caseinate, and sodium caseinate. So these are just salts of it, and they try and hide it so that, so you got to be aware. You have to be more of a label reading detective. So, but also that lactic acid and artificial flavorings can also hide the casein. So they don't list it, but they hide it in the artificial flavoring.
Right.
And one last point I want to make is dairy-free does not mean casein-free.
Correct.
Just want to point that out.
Right. So you always just want to make sure you look for the vegan emblem. If you're eating processed foods that have any possibility of having any type of dairy in there, just err on the side of caution and make sure it's vegan. Right. Because just make sure because casein's really a hidden ingredient in a lot of things. So Jean, I'm excited about our Q&A tonight. Thank you for that great educational information on casein protein. Yep. Nasty stuff. So today we have some great questions. Your intro was fantastic. Let's start with question number 1. how come my cholesterol isn't coming down? Well, where does cholesterol come from? I'll let you answer that one.
Animals.
Where, can you find cholesterol in plants?
Nope.
Nope.
No cholesterol in plants.
Is there fiber in animal products?
Nope.
No. No fiber in animal products.
That's another reason why we're constipated, you know, for if you're eating if you're eating the SAD diet.
Yeah.
No fiber.
So our question came in from somebody following the Starch Queens. It says their cholesterol hasn't been coming down and they're using statins, but they're also not 100% plant-based. So what happens if your cholesterol isn't coming down and you're using statins? Well, we've learned through many sessions and conversations with listening to Dr. McDougall and his interviews is that statins don't always work, number one, and they only work half the time. So if you want to lower your cholesterol, you absolutely have to remove the meat and dairy and the high-fat meat and dairy foods, obviously, from your diet. That's my cholesterol was 263 or 268 when I started my plant-based journey, and now it's below, I think it was 143 the last time I checked it, and it dropped 100% by following a whole food plant-based diet. I've never taken a statin medication of any kind in any way, shape, or form. My dad took statin medications and got a lot of side effects from them, like muscle fatigue. So our recommendation from the Starch Queens is to eliminate all animal products. That's first and foremost, and your cholesterol will come down dramatically. But what stalled my cholesterol, mine hit about 175 and it stayed there at about 2 years into my plant-based journey. And as I was learning how to change and adopt this this way of living, I obviously got rid of all animal products and all dairy products, meat and dairy, but I was still eating more processed foods like pastas and packaged things that were vegan. And so they have a lot of sugar in them. And oils, and those will slow down because the cholesterol has to go, your liver is part of the cholesterol process. And so when the liver is busy working on all of that junk food that you're putting in there, it's not lowering your blood serum cholesterol. So when I eliminated sugar and I adopted running and exercising, and I also have 2 Brazil nuts on Saturday, those lower your cholesterol. I can't remember exactly what Dr. Greger said the percentage is, but that's when mine finally got below 150, is when I exercised regularly, ate 2 Brazil nuts a week, omitted sugar, and I made sure that I was getting a lot of whole grains, legumes, and oatmeal. Oatmeal is wonderful. It's little scrubbing bubbles for removing cholesterol from blood serum cholesterol. So it's incorporating all of that and movement, exercise, walking, and eliminating sugar was the keynote in lowering my cholesterol on a plant-based diet. So, you know, statins are not going to get you to 150. It's impossible, especially if you're eating an animal-based diet. If you're eating the standard American diet, you're not exercising, you will still be in what's called the heart attack zone if your total cholesterol is above 150. So that's how it worked for me. Jean, how about you?
Well, my cholesterol wasn't ever that high, and it's come down dramatically, you know, obviously since I've, you know, eliminated the animal products and oils and, you know, the sugar. Mine's come down significantly. I think the last time I went in, it was like around 148, 150, something like that.
That's great. That's great. So our recommendation is to eliminate animal and dairy products and then get active. Watch the sugar, watch the oil products, watch the
processed
products.
Foods.
Processed foods. They're just full of fat and full of sugar. All right.
And chemicals.
Chemicals, toxins, not good.
Yeah.
All right. Jean.
That was a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. Next question is coming in from one of our Starch Queen members. Her comment is I quit coffee about a year and a half ago and switched to tea. I usually drink, I can't pronounce this, rooibos tea?
Rooibos.
Rooibos. See, I don't follow that brand, rooibos tea, which is caffeine free. My question is the caffeine, is it the caffeine that's objected to, or is it the occasional cup of black tea that contains caffeine okay to drink? So I think our question is does it hurt to have a cup of black tea every now and then with caffeine? And what is the demon in the caffeine? What's caffeine do to us, Jean?
Well, caffeine acts on your central.
Yeah, and I wanted real quick, Anita's asking a quick question too. Does caffeine increase cholesterol? So let's talk about that too.
Okay. Well, caffeine acts as a central nervous system stimulant. So when it reaches your brain, you're going to start to see alertness. You're going to see a little bit more, like, wow, hey, you're going to feel more awake, less tired. So it's a common ingredient in a lot of medications to manage or treat drowsiness. I mean, when my stepdaughter was in campus on college, she said the biggest drug of campus was no-dose,
Oh, wow.
Because they would stay
really?
up and, I mean, that's what their big thing was caffeine.
Wow.
So, and some of the, the caffeine drinks and stuff like that.
Monster.
But, yeah. Well, and it's also used to treat headaches and migraines, things like that. So the caffeine helps to move
doesn't
it
it
around.
Increase it, expands the capillaries, the blood circulate in your brain. Mm-hmm.
So the Mayo Clinic states that consuming more than 500 to 600 milligrams of caffeine a day can lead to insomnia, nervousness, restlessness, irritability, upset stomach, a fast heartbeat, even muscle tremors. So, and they've also shown in research that even small amounts or moderate amounts of caffeine are negative health effects. I mean, they're talking about, the jitters, the restlessness, nervousness, increased heartbeat, nausea, anxiety, heart palpitations, insomnia, sweating, dizziness. And I know you are super, super sensitive to caffeine.
I always have been.
Yeah,
yep.
Small amount.
I have been battling insomnia for a really long time. And I was, of course, during menopause, which was that. But I could not sleep. And I found that if I even had just one cup of green tea in the morning, I would not be able to sleep. And I learned after reading Dr. Barnard's book, Power Foods for the Brain, is that, and also Dr. Furman's book, Fast Food Genocide, is caffeine has a half-life. And it's like 12 hours. So if you're somebody like me who's sensitive to caffeine, it truly disrupts your sleep and causes you to not be able to fall asleep. And that has been my problem. And it's gone. It's gone. I've been totally caffeine free now for going on several months. And I am starting to finally be able to just go to sleep.
It does. I mean, your brain is just, and it keeps it wired. It really does.
Yes, Jessica, it does.
Yeah. And it keeps going. It's like the ever-ready bunny. I mean, in your brain, you lay down to go to sleep, and you're like, ding, and your eyes pop open. And
I would have my cup of green tea at 7:00 in the morning, and at 10:00 at night, I'm still wide awake. And it was like as soon as I read that about the half-life of caffeine, I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm no more caffeine for Nancy. I mean, I can't do it. It's just, and I would even just steep the bag like 2 minutes. And I can't have it. It makes me nervous. It makes me jittery. So it's just best to avoid it.
Yep. I mean, I don't have an issue with caffeine. Mine is salt. And we've talked about that before.
Nancy's asking, Jean, real quick, sorry to interrupt. Can you explain half-life?
Half-life is how long it takes for something to break down.
Exactly.
So they talk about it in terms of, especially like in nuclear chemistry, they talk about half-life, like how long does it take and something that is an isotope to break down? How long does half of it take to break down that atom into half of what's left? And that's what they're talking about in terms of caffeine, is how long does it take for the caffeine to literally half of it is still there in your system. So that has a certain time. And then half of what's left is what goes. So if you take
12 hours.
Yeah. So if you take a pie, and half of that is gone, and then half of that pie now breaks into quarters. So then you take the quarters break into an eighth. So you're breaking down, half-life, 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 half-life. So yeah, literally 12 hours, and it can go on. Go back to Anita's question. Do you know the answer to that? Caffeine and cholesterol?
Well, all I know is from everything that I've read and researched on caffeine and lowering cholesterol, it does slow the reduction of serum cholesterol.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I've not read any research on that, but I
Hi,
will
Yvonne.
come back. I will get back and
Yeah.
research that and talk. We'll talk about it next week.
And I also know,
So,
Anita, in the book, How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger, he also talks about that in the book. And Jean and I will go back and get the specifics, but I do know and remember that it does affect it and slow it down.
okay. Good to know.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on.
So
Oh,
to
hi,
answer your
Lynn.
question,
Hi, Yvonne.
let's answer the question though. It is recommended to avoid caffeine. Dr.
Oh, yeah.
McDougall has classified it as a drug.
Oh, absolutely.
It is in the drug category, and caffeine doesn't do anything good. Maybe if you're a long haul truck driver and you're going to fall asleep if you do not drink a cup of coffee, you know, it's still better to take a nap. Pull over in your sleeper and take a nap.
Yeah.
Don't drink the coffee. It's really, and what Jean also didn't touch base on, which really affected me, is caffeine really with coffee and tea is the acidic properties of coffee. Coffee is really bad for your stomach. It's really super bad for your GI system, and it really is acidic, and it causes, and it can really cause ulcers. And I had a duodenal ulcer, and I had to be caffeine free for a month, and my stomach never felt better. But back then when I had that ulcer, I was the Diet Pepsi queen, not the starch queen. So yeah, it's very acidic. It's very bad for your GI tract. So caffeine, coffee, just do your best to start crowding it out and replacing it with nice herbal tea.
Well, just touching back, I know we've talked about it before in some of our webinars when we do in the Starch Queens program. It's not just a weight loss program. It's more about educating you. And we do Wednesday or Sunday nights, we do a webinar. And one of the webinars I did before was about acids and talking about like how much your body has to alkalize that, because your bloodstream is 7.35 to 7.4. It's that fine. It's that narrow of a range. And
that's a small window.
Yeah, it's a very small window. And your blood has to be that way. So if you're drinking coffee, you've got to alkalize that before it can be released into your bloodstream. You have to. Otherwise, you're dead. That's what dying is literally the acidification of your body. So
correct.
You have to do that. But you're going to do it at a biological cost. You're either going to be taking calcium from your bones or potassium from your bloodstream or magnesium from your muscles. You're going to alkalize that. Just saying.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've got
and it's all, coffee has pushed Starbucks, Pete's, Dutch Brothers. People are consuming more coffee now at a younger age. Yeah. I mean, there's kids that are having it now that are 10, 11, 12 years old. Then that addictive, and not only, we want to talk about caffeine real quick, is the addictive properties to it. It lights up your dopamine. It lights up the pleasure centers in your brain. And that's why somebody doesn't have just one cup. They have a pot of coffee. And then they get the 4 o'clock crash as that half-life is starting to wear off. And what do they go back and get another cup of coffee? So then they come around to 10 o'clock at night. You can't go to sleep because you've just given yourself another dose of half-life of coffee. So insomnia and poor sleep, people then go and buy, call their doctor, and they'll start taking things like Ambien and prescription pharmaceuticals to help them go to sleep, when all you have to do is cut out the coffee. Right. It's that simple.
And Maria, green tea does have caffeine.
Yes, but there are decaf green teas, but then you have to look at the chemical aspect, because when you decaffeinate anything, it comes at a price because it's decaffeinated through a chemical process.
Yep. We don't recommend it.
We do not recommend that.
Water.
Herbal tea, organic herbal tea is what the Starch Queens recommend.
Water.
All right. Water. Hydrate.
Yeah, water.
Oh, and make that good water too. All right. So great question.
That's another conversation. That's a whole
I like what I do like what Lanny said too, that coffee affects the microbiome of our gut. And so again, it's the acid. It's acidic. So, all right. Our next question comes from Karen Smith, who is our Starch Queen member. And Karen would like to know, I love this question, Karen. When I saw this, I was like, yes, this is such a great question. All right. And this affects not just people who want to lose weight. It affects parents with kids. I mean, if you go in a grocery store, a mini market, this question is going to affect you. Here we go. Question for the Starch Queens member. What strategies do we suggest to avoid purchasing and consuming Easter candy? Yes. So,
first of all, I want to just jump in here because I got to share this little story. When I was teaching overseas, I was at the American school in Ecuador, and the kids would be given lunch money to, the little kids. And I don't know why this happened or whatever, but I was teaching high school science. And across the hall from me was the first grade classroom. I don't know how that happened, but whatever.
Cute.
Yeah. I mean, it was a K through 12 school, but I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have room, whatever. It ended up across the hall from me. And I would see this happen every day. The kids would go down when the first graders would go for lunch. Instead of getting the nutritional food that was served, they would take their money that they were given and they would buy soda. They would buy ding-dings, yo-yos, yum-yums, ho-hos,
ding-dongs,
whatever. And all they ate was pure sugar. Now, when they came back from lunch, I could hear across the hall the volume of noise. They were off the walls, bouncing.
Ping pong
ding,
balls.
ding, 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 ding. It was incredible. She could not get them to do anything. So after lunch, it was a wash.
Awful.
And then I would look back and you could almost set your watch.
Those kids are going to lose 2 hours of education
every day. And I would look across the room in the next period. Every day, their heads would be on the desk. Clunk.
Crash.
I mean, crash. So they had the sugar high and then the sugar low. Oh my God. It was every day. You could set your watch by it, especially for these little first graders, this 6, 7 years old, and it doesn't take much for the sugar to have this huge impact on them. So anyway, go ahead. Take it away.
It's so addictive. I mean, sugar is so addictive. Okay. All right. So our question is again, what strategies do we suggest to avoid purchasing and consuming Easter candy? Well, okay. This is a big question, and Jean and I are going to talk to you because this isn't just the reason I like this so much, Karen, is because you mentioned Easter candy, but it will pertain to all sorts of products in the grocery store that are unhealthy, that are also related to a lot of packaged foods that contain sugars. Just like what I posted in our Starch Queens group today about the all the hidden sugars, fat in a Cliff Bar. So question is, what strategies do we suggest to avoid purchasing and consuming Easter candy? All right, Jean, do you want to start or would you like me to start?
Well, first before we jump into that, the strategies, I just want to talk about this for 1 second. This is the book I'm reading right now, Breaking the Food Seduction by Dr. Neil Barnard. And
that's perfect.
And just before we logged in, I went and looked up sugar. And I just want to read this to you because I read this and went, oh, this is it. This is on page 33 in this. And this is the next book, by the way, that I'm doing the series with Dr. Barnard after we finish Power Foods for the Brain. So this is a fascinating book. And I had not heard about this. I went back and looked, I was looking for the next book and I was like, oh, I've never read this one. So anyway, sugar causes the release of opiates within the brain. But that opiate response does more than make you feel good. It also has a marked appetite driving effect. You've experienced it. You've had a little bit of an appetite before you took your first bite of sugar. Might taste good, you thought, but once it touches the lips, sugar's opiate effects breaks through the dam holding back your appetite. And an army of dietitians could not save you from the binge that sweeps you away. Inside your brain, the opiates triggered by the sweet taste are busily resetting all your internal priorities to make you care about one thing and one thing only. Eating more of what just passed your lips. So that was just
you have no defense. I mean, it's like everything just takes over. It's because the alien inside of you takes over, and it's terrible.
That's my inner raccoon, I call it. But okay,
yeah, it's just
so strategies.
Sugar.
I mean, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay, like I went into Rite Aid the other day, and there's a whole aisle of it. So what I do, I don't go down that aisle. I stay away from that. I make sure that I try and go to cash registers, that are self-serve, that don't have the candy in it. I mean, I just try not to put myself into that path. And in reality, I don't shop at most of those places anymore because I'm not, I rarely need to go into Rite Aid. I think I needed to go in to get some distilled water for chemistry. But you know, I don't go down, or, you know, I try not to go into places that are going to have that, you know,
Right.
in a gas station, processed, you know, those fast food places, there's nothing I can have in there. So I don't even bother to go in there. You know, I
Right.
pay for my gas outside. I don't even go inside. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Right.
And once it gets inside your head, it literally will take several days to clear out. So strategies, to, you know, if you can't avoid it. I mean, even like going into freaking Bed Bath and Beyond. I mean, okay, you're going in to buy dishes or sheets. Why do they have to have bags of candy at the cash register? Seriously. And have you looked at, yeah, it's, of course it's money. I know it is. But, you know, why? Seriously. I mean, have you looked at, while you're standing in line, instead of sitting there looking at and going, hey, I'm going to get this, turn around and look at the label and look at how much sugar is in there. It's phenomenal.
It's it's awful.
And the little package, you could pop that in your mouth. I could, and I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Literally,
it's terrible.
It lights up your brain for days. For days. It takes days for it to clear out in terms of the
Detox.
pleasure trap. Exactly. So you really have to. Okay, so strategies. If you can't avoid it, if you have to, if you're going into places that are going to have it, okay, first thing is to make sure you go in that you're not hungry. You cannot go in hungry, because if you're hungry, the inner raccoon is coming out and you will not have a defense. Seriously. So the potato hour is where, you know, that I carry cooked potatoes. I have an Instant Pot that I, you know, on the weekends I batch cook and I make a whole batch of potatoes, and I carry those with me at all times just for said emergencies. You know, I may not get to the potatoes that day, but if I need them, they're there, and they will help kill that addiction. Because if once you pop one of those potatoes in, you don't have to have a big one. It's just, you know, a medium-sized potato. Once you eat that, you're gonna be satiated, you're gonna be satisfied, and it's gonna kill that craving. What are your tips?
So my tips are, first of all, Jean, can you hold up the book again? We have Kathy would like to know what the name of the book is again.
Breaking the Food Addiction. I know, Breaking the Food Seduction. Excuse me. It's bad. It's backwards.
Right. It's called Breaking the Food Seduction by Dr. Neil Barnard. It's one of his earlier books.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's
fantastic.
Really, it's a great read.
He's really.
He is.
So
he really is. He's amazing.
So here's my suggestions is, when I look at a grocery store, I'm a visual person. I like to think about where everything is. So I noticed that I grocery shop in Chico at Rayleigh's on East Avenue. And I noticed that when I go in I guess it would be the east side entrance, right there when I walk in the door, straight down that aisle is their holiday aisle, where it is 2 rows of Easter candy, followed by rows, the next aisle over or beside it is the Easter bunny baskets and all of the junk that you put in the Easter bunny baskets, but is the Easter candy. So if you go to the next entrance down, you're going to avoid seeing that Easter candy. And when you check out, if you check out at the other end of the store, because they line up the checkout aisles in a row, so select the furthest aisle down so that you don't have a visual on the Easter candy. And I want to tell you a little story about me with my Easter issue is I'm allergic to chocolate. And so my candy was, before I went plant-based, was Reese's Pieces. I love them in popcorn. I love them plain. I could eat them by the bagfuls because they're peanut butter, the little peanut butter with candy topping. I loved those things. But then once a year at Easter, they had the peanut. They actually did the Reese's Pieces with the peanut inside it. And it's bigger. It's about this big. And, you know, I looked at the bag the other day because I was curious. I thought, I want to show the Starch Queens this and talk about it. And then I thought, oh, this will work out great. You know, if we talk about it today, I'll talk about the Reese's Pieces Easter eggs, I guess they call them. They have a peanut inside them. I turned it over and I read the ingredients. And of course, that's always a deal breaker for me when you start getting into the words that are this long. And then, you know, there was no food in there. It was all just processed garbage. There was no nutrient value in those Reese's Pieces, but nothing. I mean, I think there was peanut flavoring. And so there was it's a Frankenfood. It's an absolute Franken food. And so I was like, chucked it right back there. It was educational, didn't buy it. But this is the first time in my life I'm going to go through an entire Easter without having the one candy that I could eat, being allergic to chocolate, because I made a choice that my why is more important than that crappy bag of Franken food that is going to be stuck in my bionome, is my, I call my body, my little personal environment, my universe, that I go to great lengths to not pollute. So why would I make a choice to pollute it just to get back into the pleasure trap? Because I had it. It's like a tradition, it's that habit. That's my brain going ding, 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 ding. It's Easter. It's Easter. I want to have that candy. Well, this year I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not having it. And I'm not ever having it again, because it just screws with my head and I'm not doing it. I'm going to be the boss. So I don't want it. I don't want to do that to my body.
Yeah. Well, somebody had posted before that they remember their best memory was not of the chocolate, but their mother stuck in like a jump rope and, little toys and things.
Right.
And they remembered that more,
right.
They had better memories of that than the candy. So,
right.
Think about this, moms, as you're coming up and gearing up for Easter, maybe just one little
right.
piece of small chocolate in there and put the rest with toys and
make it vegan dark chocolate.
Yeah, right. And then, just some bubble stuff or jump ropes or some jacks, ball and jacks, little fun things that they can play with.
Yep. Yeah. So again, strategies are to avoid is to go to the grocery store when you're not hungry. Go to the opposite end of the grocery store. And then the last suggestion is, Karen, and to those who are watching, if shopping is an issue and you're early in your transitional stage from a standard American diet to a plant-based diet, and you can afford to have somebody do your grocery shopping for you. I know there's eBasket. There's like Rayleigh's what is it?
Stop and Shop here. I don't know if it's on the West Coast or whatever, but they have Peapod. You can order your groceries online and they deliver it.
Oh, well, there's that. But no, I'm talking about there's actually there's a company now like Uber that is, you can put your grocery list on their website and they'll go to the grocery store and they'll bring it to your house.
Wow.
But then there's also here in Rayleigh's, that's part of the Nob Hill grocery store chain. They have what's called e-cart. So in the bigger towns, you could go to your grocery store's website and actually see if they have what's called e-cart. You put everything on the website and you literally drive over. You've gone to restaurants and you've seen curbside takeout. It's literally curbside takeout for your grocery store. And it's called e-cart. It's called e-cart. And I actually have a friend who is part of Plant-Based Chico, Kathy, and she uses e-cart quite frequently at the local grocery store. So that's going to keep the temptation away from you. And so if you can avoid it by doing e-cart or having a friend or a family do your shopping for you in the beginning, as you really start building your foundation in your lifestyle, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's fantastic. And I don't know about you, but I am not in love with grocery shopping. We do it because we have to do it. But if I could have somebody else do it for me, yeah, I would. That's a great question. And so again, know your why. Grocery shop when you're not hungry. Avoid temptation and just shop the other end of the grocery store, or else use e-cart or another service that you can find like that. So if anybody is watching and you have a question for us, feel free to. I'm noticing that my phone has done an update, and so I'm trying to look through here. And see the questions, if there's any questions here. Jessica VP, she said that she bought something today, bought a bag today and went to the store and had tapioca flour. She caved, darn it. All right. I like Lanny. Her mom put candy in that her kids didn't like. I don't see any other questions. So right now, if you guys want to ask us any questions, we will start moving on to what's happening.
Well, wait, I gotta share this. This made me like almost boo-hoo, honestly.
Okay.
I just finished putting together, for those of you who don't know, I do Starch Queen's videos and recipes. And so I spend the day literally. I mean, first of all, I have to make the recipes. I create the recipes. I test drive them.
I create the recipes too, ma'am.
Yeah, you do for but not for the recipes.
Those are
Some of
teeny
them are
muffins.
Okay, yeah, fair point, fair point. Okay, that one was yours. Yeah, and the chili that was yours too. I forgot. Yeah, okay, okay. The last round were all mine, but anyway, so creating the recipes, test driving them, and then going shopping, and then I spend an entire day in the kitchen, and I literally make all of those things. What?
And I'm sorry, I just saw Lanny's question about sprouting. I didn't have
Oh my
it on my list.
Oh my God.
I have the best information.
Oh my God, me too. Okay, that's okay. We'll talk about that in a second.
You keep going real quick.
So Karen, who is one of our Starch Queens members, she wrote this comment, and I just was like, I just wanted to cry. I really did. She said, and I'm reading her quote. I had amazing success with the Starch Queen Video Package 1 that I'm going to use the Video Package 2 the same way I did as with 1. I'm actually learning to shop and prepare food that is super healthy and delish. I'm a visual and auditory learner, so having a simple, non-cluttered video to watch and stop and pause is amazingly helpful. I also like to print out the recipes and make my list and then go to the store. Wow, this is really getting fun. Thank you, Starch Queens. You're saving lives by sharing your strategies. I just almost burst into tears.
It's a great one, Jean. Your recipe, they're fantastic.
I know, because it takes a lot of work. No, most people don't understand that 2-minute video is about 5 hours of editing. I mean, seriously, it's a lot of work. You have no idea. I mean, first of all, to record it. I'm in the kitchen literally all day long. I mean, from early morning, and I have a friend of mine who comes over. It's a great day because we laugh all day long, and we're testing and eating food all day. So it's a good thing. And then I have a ton of stuff. My husband loves to come home. Her husband comes over usually in the afternoon and tests all the different dishes. So it's a fun day, but it's a long day.
That's a great review.
Anyway, awesome. So those, we've got 2 video packages. I've got another third one that I need to start processing. And then I'll be going back into the kitchen again. So we have another package coming up soon. So
awesome. So Lanny's question is how to prevent mold from growing on her sprouts. Okay. Go ahead. We can do it together.
All right. Well, I just want to share about this because we did. I was up on the Cape with. We had a girls' weekend, and we had 4 amazing women that were together, and everybody brought something, And one of my friends, Judy, brought this sprouter with her, and it was about this big, and I'm going to post the link to this, and I have to get one because she had it. It's divided into quadrants, and it's a non-spray. There's one that is it sprays up water, and
my mother-in-law has that one. It's pretty darn fancy.
Oh my gosh! But this was just, it was small. It was really small.
My mother-in-law's is big.
Well, this one was small, and I loved it because she bought this because they're thinking about going on a boat and going cruising and sailing, and they wanted to have some fresh greens. But it was amazing because we kept pulling the greens out of it all the time. So, I don't think, she had any issues with the mold in it, but I would imagine if, I use the greens up fast enough that I don't get the mold, on them. But what do you do?
So this is about when you're growing and sprouting your own greens and how you are getting mold on your greens because so when you're growing greens and they're in a tight environment, you have to have them, number one, in a cool place. So you have to make sure that there's air circulating. Mm-hmm. And occasionally you will have to, in a warmer environment, need to actually put your greens growing container possibly even in the refrigerator for up to 2 to 3 hours each day in the warmest part of the day if your home is warming up. If you have them by a heater vent or a warm place in your home where the greens are sprouting, mold can develop. It's very common. It's also really important that you keep the air circulating. So lots of times during the day or in the evening, it's good to keep a low, consistent fan blowing on them so that they don't get warm. So mold, of course, is like everything else. It's going to grow in a warm environment. And of course, you're going to be able to smell if the greens are moldy because they really do reek. They reek really bad. And my mother-in-law has been growing has grown greens. I've grown greens, and it's very, very common for them to get moldy. So air movement, cool location. If it's getting too warm, pop them in the refrigerator for up to 3 hours and then pull them out. And you just got to be really careful about the temperature that they're in your home, because like my home, I keep my temperature at 69 degrees. But if you have a home with a fireplace, you can get hot pockets around your house. So keep the air circulating. Keep your air circulating around your sprouting container, and keep them cold. And as you do that, you're going to reduce the mold. And so, Lanny, does that make sense? But that's what I've done, and that's what I recommend, and that's what I checked with my mother-in-law after I saw your question, and she said the same thing. You can't let them get too warm. Keep them cool. Keep air circulating. I want to touch base on Kathy's. Kathy commented real quick about having surgery, finding a little bit of comfort in the ice cream aisle, and clearing out your environment again. And what Kathy's experiencing is very common in a lot of people when they have experienced something like surgery or a big event, a trauma in their life, and, finding your way back to the ice cream aisle. We're human. We're all human, and that happens. But the most important thing is to remember that you're only the next meal away from getting back on track. So when that happens, Kathy did the right thing. She's gone through, cleaned out her environment. You want to get the oil out of there and make sure that your home wellness center is your safe spot. It's your safe zone. Because when you, like we were talking about with Karen's question, when you go out into the world, you're inundated with advertising. You're inundated with, fast food restaurants, billboards, radio. So you want to always
you can't get away from it on TV.
You can't get away from it. You can't. If every radio commercial or television commercial is a prescription medication followed by fast food or beer, so it's like a person can't win. So if you have something that happens in your life, just remember that you're not going to go down the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole can be closed off. Slam the door on it by just making your next meal whole food, plant-based. Don't beat yourself up. Right. Don't get caught up in the psychological, I've done it now. I'm going to throw it out. I'm done. I can't do this. Don't get caught up in that psychological merry-go-round, because it's not true. You can do it. Jean's lost 100 pounds. I've lost 100 pounds, and we've been right where you are, Kathy, more than once of something happening. And, I never did go back. I mean, when I said I wasn't going to eat dairy or meat again, I never have. But I've gone to more calorically dense foods. Like I would have more, have avocado and things like that were more comforting to me. But again, it's like when I coach people in weight loss, and we do in the Starch Queens, you're the one meal away from being back on track. That's it. You're back on track. You're back on track. Make your next meal count, and the rest is history. Mm-hmm. It's in the past. It doesn't matter. What's done is done. You can't change it. So don't beat yourself up over it, and just embrace it, own it, move on from it. That's all you can do. That's all anybody can do. So that's all you got to do. So let's talk about Jean real quick.
Wait, Lisa Sin had a comment. This was a great comment and a great question. And I thought this was amazing, because it talks a lot about, Nancy and I and our relationship with each other. She said,
Did you hear the banter back and forth over the recipes?
Yeah, right? Do we get discouraged, like after losing 100 pounds, and do we encourage each other? Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've gone through our plateaus. It's not been, if I hear one more person say to me, oh, yeah, I went plant-based and I lost 400 pounds overnight, I'm going to kill him. I am. I'm going to kill him. Because that's not my journey.
It's not my journey either. It's very rare that you go and lose 400 pounds just the moment you say, I'm plant-based. It doesn't work that way.
No. And it's been a huge
And I would challenge
journey.
Their comment.
It's been a huge journey for both of us. And since we've known each other, she's like the yin to my yang, and it's an amazing, and she'll know, like if I'm having, okay, what's wrong? And it's like, how did you know? It's just like, yeah, I know you. Because okay, so it's just great having that camaraderie, between us. I mean, seriously, it's probably one of the most amazing things, in my life. I mean, she's become one of my closest and dearest friends, and so we encourage each other.
So
Yeah.
we're accountability partners. Okay.
Mm.
That's how our friendship started in the McDougall, group was, in the McDougall Friends group. And we were talking about plant purination and, and our struggles, just like Kathy was saying about, diving into the ice cream after a major surgery, again, that happens in life. So there was like conversation about accountability partners. And so Jean and I, we struck up a friendship. And just today, I'm going to share your story today. Can I share your story by text message today?
Okay.
So I noticed that I wrinkle my nose up. My grandson does that too. So now I'm always looking at myself. So today, accountability partner, friend, fellow starch queen, Jean, sent me a text of a full body profile of her in a size smaller pants, a beautiful blouse that she's going to be wearing for when she gives a lecture this Thursday at the Plant-Based Rhode Island meetup group, a whole size smaller. And so the first thing I did, I was like, I had tears in my eyes. I had a grin from ear to ear, and I'm texting her going, right on, yes. So we are first and foremost accountability partners and friends. And we go through the ups and downs of this lifestyle with each other, our husbands, Jean's husband, my husband. And you have to have that someone in your life. It's really important. And if you don't have that person at home, you have to have you need a yin to your yang. And you can be just like we are. We found each other on the internet. I mean, who knew? I mean, I've flown back and spent a week with Jean in her vacation home on Cape Cod, and we've a lot of lifetime friendship here. And we do share our struggles. And Jean lives on the East Coast. There's a lot of wonderful high-end vegan restaurants back there, and she'll go into New York City and she'll, have a higher calorically dense food, and then she'll come back, she'll text me and she goes, I'm dying. I'm
on
dying.
the way home from New York City going, why did I eat that?
Yeah, why did I eat that? Because, it's too calorically dense. And so her body's getting the McDougall revenge. So I'm texting her back there. I'm going, told you so. Told you so. I'm your accountability partner. Should have said no. Walk away. Don't do it. Just say no. No's a complete answer. Don't do it. But, again, we're human. So she pays for it. She suffers. She recovers. And she makes her next meal plant. Well, they're always plant-based. The vegan food is plant-based, but it's very calorically dense. And when your body isn't used to that amount of high-fat food, avocados and all of those things that they use in those high-end vegan restaurants, your body goes, ugh, and it's like dying. So that's what accountability partners do and friends do. And we give each other heck all the time. I mean, we banter back and forth, but we love each other. And when we go through our ups and our downs, and Jean's helping me right now with going through struggles with a little life event we've got going on in our family, and you need that person. And I'm very grateful for you, Jean. I love you, and my starch queen of diamonds. And so you've got to have that person. And so find an accountability partner that you can share this lifestyle with. It's really, really important. And it's really helped us get going on the last struggles of our weight loss, of our, you get in a rut, you can get in a rut and you start eating the same thing over and over and over. And your body starts, is it really plateauing? Is it not plateauing? Well, we know in the Starch Queens program, we had actually a whole education on plateaus. And, it just, again, we highly recommend an accountability partner. And I'm actually working with Lisa Mason right now. She's in New Jersey. She's my accountability partner for my Tasty Life program. And we talk every week on the phone, and it makes a huge difference to have that person or a person to work with. This is a big deal.
But I also think that's what we do within the Starch Queens weight loss program, because we've got people that we share our non-scale victories all the time. I mean, it's not just the weight loss, because we tell people, don't put the scale away. Put the scale away. We weigh once in the beginning of the month, and then that's it. Yeah. We put the scale away, because yes, the scale is a good thing to measure your progress, but it's not every day, and it can be a huge you can spiral out of control so quickly.
Oh, yeah. It's your head.
Oh my God, yeah. So we say to put the scale away, but then you start to see other things happening, like my rings are just getting so loose. And so I'm going to, at one point, I'm going to be moving my rings over to my middle finger, because my wedding ring already will fit, but my engagement ring just is a little bit snug there. But eventually, because they're getting so I mean, they sometimes they sling off, you know.
I wouldn't mind being hit by a diamond ring in the nose.
So
you have to tell everybody about Anita Hill's non-scale victory with her sapphire ring. That makes me cry.
Oh my God.
I'm such an emotional person. I just love good stuff. Okay.
Well, her husband had given her this beautiful ring for an anniversary.
25 years ago.
Yeah, 25 years ago, he gave her this beautiful ring, and then she'd gained weight and then couldn't wear it, and she didn't want to resize it. You know, because you're always in the back of your head, oh, I'll lose weight and I'll get
fit
it
back into that.
Yeah. And here, 25 years later, she now pulled it out, and it fits her.
So it's like tears in my eyes.
Yeah,
exactly. That's it. Those are non-scale victories.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so Misty, our Starch Queens member, Misty, has been following the program. Did Misty start with you in Plant-Based Westchester?
She did.
So Misty started hers. I don't know what month when Misty started with hers with Plant-Based Westchester. She adopted a whole food plant-based, and she's got like 15 kids. I mean, she's this she's like this super mom. She's this super mom. She's got a wonderful husband who's now, well, we'll talk about that too real quick. But Misty started this 6-week walking program, and also being very aggressive and super mom, like I said, started this aggressive walking program, like a couch to 5K kind of program. I don't know if that was it. But she's posting every day. I'm doing 4 miles, 5 miles. She did like 15 miles in a week. And then today she posted, I found my collarbone. What is this thing? What is this thing poking out my collarbone?
I know.
Those are non-scale victories. Those are the things that are happening that's just the beauty of this program. And it's such a great feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to talk a little bit about our program, because it is, I don't think there's anything out there that even, comes close to what we're doing. Because it's not just weight loss, because that's a side effect. That's a side effect of what we're doing. Because we're
getting healthy. We're getting healthy.
Exactly. And it's a huge educational, it's an educational program. So Monday through Friday, we have a daily topic that's posted, and I do the research and collect from a variety of different places. I'll collect videos or on that topic.
You assemble
articles.
it all.
I put it all together. I mean, I vet everything, and then we post that educational topic in a learning management system online. And then Nancy does these amazing Driving with Nancy in the morning. She takes the topic of the day, and then she goes into this video and goes into, while she drives to work, she's got it down, and it hangs from the windshield, and she talks into that, and she's got it. But she gets into your head and talks about the topic of the day. Then we do the Q&As on Tuesday. But Nancy's also in the kitchen. Her and Nick are making and creating all these amazing recipes, and we keep adding to. We have a collection of recipes.
I got more to type up.
Mm-hmm. So she's going to be adding some more real soon, and then we do a webinar on Sunday nights. So every week is something different, in terms of our webinars, and it's not just about weight loss. It's also about changing what we call the trifecta. Because you have to change what goes in, the food, the drink, what goes on, and your environment. But you also have to exercise. You have to move, So, I mean, there's other aspects to it, too. But those are the major, what we call the trifecta.
Yep.
You've got to change those basic three. So,
right. And it truly is, the weight loss is the side effect. I mean, when you really start looking, and, our program is really focused on calorie density and the fundamental foundation of why a whole food plant-based lifestyle will save your life. And we want this to be a forever lifestyle, not a, like an in and out of Weight Watchers or an in and out of Jenny Craig or an in and out of, the other ones. This is forever. This is a forever program, and mine and Jean's personal mission in life is to help as many people as we can build that foundation, because that is the fundamental fact behind our success has been education. And learning this is learning the science. If you do not commit to educating yourself and really knowing what casein protein does to your body and how it turns on the cancer gene expression, then it's just another diet. And diets are generally where people start great and then they flop. This is not a diet.
No,
this is an education-based program that is going to build your foundation, and you're going to be like me. I mean, again, I'm a farm girl. I raised cows. I raised pigs and sheep and slaughtered chickens and turkeys. It makes me vomit in my mouth to think about that. I can't deal with it now, but I'm a farm girl turned whole food plant-based, and there is nothing I tell everybody that I meet, well, how do you live on just salads? And it's like, oh, don't even get me started on the whole salad thing. But they say, what if you got stranded on a desert island? I'd say eat the tree bark. I would not ingest any animal products for the rest of my life, and I never will. Knowing what I know now, you cannot unknow that. You can't go back.
But also you have to educate yourself, because when you go into what I call the medical treadmill, you've got to be able to arm yourself, because the doctors are going to be telling you one thing and it goes against, they don't understand about nutrition. Here's just let me show you one little quick story. I was in Whole Foods and I was over looking at the hummus. And so I was looking, because it was not my normal shopping place. And so I was looking, and they had different varieties of hummus. So I was reading the labels in the back, and I found two that don't have it. There's the Roots, that has no oil, and the Abrams has no oil. They do have the
We don't have
zucchini.
those on the West Coast. Trader Joe's has a eggplant hummus, but
right. Well, anyway, so I was in there, and this guy came up, and I started, me being me, the quiet, shy person, I know, right?
Right.
So I started to say, oh, these two are really, really good. You'll like these two, and they're oil free. And this woman comes up, and she was kind of listening to our conversation, and she just went, oh, you need to have oil. Your brain has to have it. And I'm just like, she's like, I'm a medical doctor, and I'm like, and I just wanted to look at her, and I'm like, could you tell me what your practice is so I don't go there? Because you clearly don't know.
That's Jean.
Yeah, because you haven't read, okay? Because
she doesn't know nutrition, obviously.
Exactly,
so that's the bottom line.
And your brain does need fats, but hey, guess what? The amount that's in plant-based foods, that's the amount you need. Oh, hey, it's like it's in nature or something like that. I don't know.
That comes with fiber and water and micronutrients and phytonutrients and
I know
exactly.
So you're going up against the medical industry that does not have a clue about nutrition. It does, which just makes no sense.
Some do.
Well, clearly, there's a few. They're far and few
not
between.
Many. Right, not many, but yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, but I think it's getting better. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is doing great things. The Plantrition Project is doing fantastic things. So we have hope. We have a lot of hope on that the tides are turning. That medical doctors are now starting to make the connection between nutrition and health.
Nancy, I just got a sign saying that Nancy Norby Matthews is watching. Okay. Anyway.
I hope there's not a. Oh, did I get hacked? Dang it! All right, Jean.
Anyway,
what are you?
No, wait. Karen Smith said one of her comments was there.
My nose is running, and I don't have any Kleenex. Sorry.
Karen was saying, I can't. It went up. There it goes. So she said the Starch Queen program is an amazing program and is everything you need. It feels like you are talking to your sisters. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that Jean and I really try to be is real. We're real. We're real. We've done it. We figured it out. We want to help everybody that we can. And we're in it for the long haul, So thank you for such a nice compliment, Karen. We truly appreciate it. So Jean, that book that you're reading.
Yep.
Is that the book that you're reading now?
Yep. That's the one I'm reading now. When I read his book, I break it apart. I do the research. I, create the series of questions so that I'm prepared going into, because Dr. Barnard suffers no fools. I mean,
no,
he doesn't. And he's amazing to work with. And but I want to be prepared. I want to be ready, and I have all my ducks in a row when I start my presentation or interviews with him. So he's amazing, and so I'm really getting into this book. Really enjoying this.
That's wonderful.
What are you reading?
I'm actually not reading anything right now. I've been working on my Tasty Life homework, so I've just been focusing on what I'm learning how to do in my Tasty Life program right now is to be writing technically, being a technical writer, recipe writer on how to properly write recipes. So I've been really working on going through my recipe books. I know. It's like, oh, this is right up our Starch Queen's alley. So we've been going through how to decipher the yield in portion sizes in recipes. So over the weekend, I worked on some recipes and worked on how to determine the portion size, the yield. So I've been doing my homework. So I'm taking a little bit of a break on reading for the next month or two as I learn to be professional in my recipe development and recipe writing. And I find it absolutely fascinating, loving it. So our Starch Queens recipes will even get more and more professional. And as we get ready to write our book, that will be helpful. So that's what I'm doing. There's always a great book on nutrition and the plant-based lifestyle to read. If you haven't read The Cheese Trap yet by Dr. Barnard, read it.
Oh my God.
If you are a parent, if you are a wannabe parent, if you're wanting to you want to start having children. Okay, I'm a 55-year-old woman. I'm a grandparent. I'm a mother of 2 daughters. If I could go in what with Bill and Ted in the time machine, if I could go back in time and know now what I knew then, I'd be vegan. But I highly recommend anybody who's wanting to get pregnant, male. You guys, the men, you participate in this because Dr. Furman talks about the importance of being plant-based for up to 6 months before you conceive. This is I cannot recommend enough the book Fast Food Genocide.
Oh my God, that's a great one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Fast Food Genocide is the book to, everybody just got blown away by the documentary What the Health. Everybody needs to be equally blown away by Dr. Furman's book, Fast Food Genocide. It's amazing. So I recommend Fast Food Genocide. I recommend The Cheese Trap. If you are somebody who's new to the lifestyle, you're thinking about the lifestyle, you're eating a lot of cheese, read The Cheese Trap. It's just everything that they're going to tell you about that. So those are 2 recent books that I've read, but right now I'm reading recipe books.
All right. Well, I think this is time to wrap up.
Thank you, everybody, for joining Talking Tuesdays with the Starch Queens. We appreciate you being here and supporting us. We are very appreciative, and we thank you for being with us this hour. Oh, if you're on the East Coast, big nor'easter coming in tonight. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And I'm going to be up in Thursday night. I'm going to be at Plant-Based Providence. And if you are, I'm going to be Plant-Based Providence. I'm going to be lecturing up there Thursday night from 6:30 to 8:30. And we've got a friend, David, who's going to be recording it. So I will be posting that as well. So that lecture will be up there. We're going to talk about how to begin, whole food plant-based. We'll talk about the pleasure trap and some of the issues from Dr. Doug Lyles, some of his comments and ideas. So there we are.
That's awesome. And then Plant-Based Chico, we have our monthly meeting next month, which is going to be spring is coming. So we're going to be talking all about calorie density. Yeah, today's first day of spring. Can you believe it?
No.
Yeah, it's not here either. It's pretty dismal weather, rain here. So first day of spring, rain on the West Coast, cold weather on the East Coast.
Snow coming.
All of you who's watching on everywhere in between the East and West Coast, hope your weather is better for this first day of spring, and have a wonderful week. Again, if you're a Starch Queens member of our group, you can always reach out to Jean and I for questions. If you're not a member of our Starch Queens group, you can go to sqweightloss.com, sign up. If you would like to have a free day of our Starch Queens recipes, you can go to starchqueens.net. On the very top of the screen, you can say, it says something like, click here for, what does it say, Jean? Click here for
free day of food.
Free day of food. You're going to get a whole recipe outline of what a day in the life of the Starch Queens looks like. They're mine and Jean's recipes. They're very good. And the only thing we ask is your email address so that we can keep you in the loop. And oh, trust us, we don't spam. I think we're really bad. We are so busy. So we'll get your email address, and trust us, you probably will not get an email.
Not for a while.
But we're going to collect it. Not for a while. We just, time is something that we don't have. So
Nancy's into a big accounting mess, and I'm teaching. So yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not an accounting mess. It's just the budget that won't go away. It just resurrects that head every day. So, all right, everybody, shalom, peace, thank you. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Happy spring, and make every day plant-based.
Every bite.
High five. Every bite. Plant-based. High five, everybody. Peace out. Save this, Jean. Don't forget. Save it.
Got it. I got it.
Got it.
Got it.
Night.
Night.